In the dim valleys of Tennessee, amid the harsh wilderness of 1838, a chilling mystery remained concealed, not underground, but within the core of a remote, cut-off village. People referred to them as the Beaumont sisters. During an era when existence was fleeting and marked deeply on everyone's features, these women simply refused to grow old. This tale was one intended to stay hidden, a fragment of U.S. history intentionally obscured, mentioned only in quiet whispers by descendants whose forebears forged an agreement with an archaic, incomprehensible force. We are taught to trust in advancement, in the relentless progression of time that erodes everything to nothing. Yet what if, in a hidden nook of the emerging nation, amid shadowy forests and overlooked waterways, time was ensnared? What if it was imprisoned by 7 females whose gazes mirrored the calm of a profound pond, and whose flesh remained as sleek as smoothed pebbles, year upon year, era upon era? This wasn't a wonder. It was a grim enigma, a mental trap that ensnared a whole settlement, tying them into a web of secrecy and dread. Our narrative starts not with their origins, since nobody could accurately pinpoint those, but with the entry of an individual who ventured to pose the single query band in that gorge. Why? He was Elias Thorne, a proponent of rationale and logic, a federal land mapper assigned to chart the wild terrain. He trusted in borders and limits, in the straightforward, verifiable realities of existence. But the Beaumont sisters defied simplicity. They represented an absurdity, a vital, existent breach of divine and human principles. Upon Elias's initial entry into the tiny, secluded hamlet of Havenwood, he sensed it at once, a peculiar, wound-up strain in the atmosphere. The inhabitants thrived unusually well, while the broader frontier battled starvation, illness, and nature's cruel caprices. Havenwood appeared favored. Their harvests always succeeded, their animals stayed robust, and their offspring arrived flawless. The locals were courteous, yet their expressions were wary. They responded to his inquiries on land divisions and stream paths with rehearsed ambiguity. But mentioning the expansive, remote farmstead on the upper slope triggered a tangible panic that hushed them. That belonged to the Beaumonts, they'd whisper, and it was wiser to avoid it. Elias possessed an insatiable inquisitiveness, a quality that had garnered him fame while inviting peril. He spotted the 7 siblings initially at the village marketplace. They glided as one, a quiet, seamless unit, their allure so striking it unsettled. Each was a slight variation, with tresses resembling woven gold or glossy obsidian, eyes of vivid azure or verdant jade. But their complexion challenged credibility. The fierce Tennessee sunlight that aged all others left theirs radiant, immune to the passage of years. He observed them, captivated as they bartered for goods, their tones soft and harmonious, using speech that felt outdated yet entirely comprehensible. They never grinned, not even slightly. They appeared to dwell in a secluded sphere of tranquility that seemed almost menacing. He questioned the smith, a fellow with twisted hands and a visage scarred by toil, regarding their years. The man let fall a weighty mallet, the noise resounding through the abrupt quiet of his forge. He cleaned his palms, avoiding Elias's stare. "They existed here during my dad's youth," he muttered gruffly, and appeared identical back then. Elias calculated mentally. That placed them at 60, perhaps 70. Absurd. The females he viewed seemed barely past 20. He pursued the topic, but the smith pivoted away, an ultimate barrier of rejection. "Certain matters," the elder grumbled, "aren't for quantifying, mapper. You chart the terrain, leave the spirits upon it undisturbed." That evening, Elias noted in his diary, "It's not devotion that clamps their mouths, it's fright. The whole village serves as a guardian for an unspeakable truth. They're not shielding the sisters, they're confining them." The meeting with the smith only strengthened Elias's determination. Alarm blended with an overwhelming fascination akin to dependency. He recognized official routes were futile. The hamlet's past had been purged, its recollections meticulously edited. He required an alternative tactic. He needed entry to their stronghold. His chance arrived via deception, Elias was a novice plant enthusiast, a talent acquired on his extended lone journeys. He'd observed the woodlands encircling the Beaumont estate teemed with odd vegetation, species undocumented elsewhere. Some were vividly intense, others oddly deformed, as though the soil itself varied. He loaded a bag with premium sketching sheets and tools, and disregarding the villagers' fearful mutterings, trekked the twisting trail to the Beaumont residence. As the pastor had depicted, the breeze turned stagnant and chilly nearing it. The dwelling was an extensive single-level timber building, flawlessly preserved, yet constructed in a manner at least 100 years outdated. No rot showed, no lichen on the eaves, no droop in the veranda. It was as eternal as its dwellers. As he entered the open space, the entrance swung wide. One sibling, a auburn-haired one with eyes like lichen, stood present. "You're the mapper," she stated, not an inquiry. Her tone resembled nectar and frost. Elias, gathering his bravery, clarified his intent, cataloging the area's distinctive botany, and he'd learned their terrain was the purest in the ravine. He sought approval to examine samples on her land. The sibling, whom he'd discover was named Seraphina, appraised him with a disturbing, dissecting look. For an extended instant, she remained mute. He sensed his thoughts being dissected, his motives exposed and scrutinized. Then a spark of something, entertainment, interest, flashed in her gaze. "My kin and I appreciate the oddities of the wild," she remarked, her mouth twisting into a grin that failed to warm her eyes. "You can observe, but stay in the forest and avoid contact with anything near the fountain." She pointed to a gloomy cluster of archaic trees, whence a subtle fog appeared to ascend. The caution came with a serene irreversibility that rendered it less advisory and more like an immutable rule. Passing her, he detected a subtle electric buzz in the environment, a thrum of dormant force seeming to radiate from the structure. He was admitted, yet he harbored a stark, alarming sensation of having entered an exquisite, flawlessly crafted snare. Elias devoted the following days to scrupulously recording the foliage in the Beaumont groves, an ideal facade for his genuine aim, surveillance. He maintained separation from the home, but keenly noted the siblings' existence. They'd appear at irregular times, solo or grouped, to cultivate a vast, geometrically exact plot or patrol the boundaries. They proceeded with a mute, harmonized elegance that was enchanting yet profoundly unnatural. They seldom conversed audibly, yet coordinated flawlessly, as if linked by an unseen conduit. The flora he encountered was aberrant. He found fronds with extraordinarily intricate repeating designs, blossoms in hues his vision struggled to perceive, and a lichen that throbbed with subtle glowing light under the venerable boughs. It seemed as if development in this confined area had followed a divergent, wiser course. He drew them hastily, his analytical intellect staggering. One midday, he risked nearing the prohibited fountain Seraphina had noted. The atmosphere cooled markedly, and an odd sugary aroma, akin to moist dirt and flowering belladonna, lingered. The fountain was a basin of liquid so opaque and motionless it devoured illumination. No growth bordered it for 10 feet around, a flawless ring of sterile soil. As he crouched to inspect the dirt, he noticed an inscription on a broad slab by the pool's rim. It was an emblem, a ring enclosing 7 linked strokes, creating an elaborate star formation. It wasn't indigenous or from any familiar continental heritage. It seemed more antique, primeval. A tone from rear startled him upright. "I warned you against this spot." It was another sibling with locks as pale as frost, though her countenance matched the others in youth and sleekness. Her name was Alara. Her expression held no fury, but a deep, timeless melancholy. "This location isn't yours," she murmured gently. "The liquid retains memories, things your psyche isn't formed to contain." Elias' pulse racing indicated the emblem. "What does this mean?" Alara's look eased. "It's a seal," she breathed, her words scarcely heard. "And we form the mechanism. Depart now. The soil here craves. It can't distinguish a tendril from a skeleton." The menace, conveyed with such tender grief, terrified more than any malediction. He retreated gradually, thoughts whirling, a seal craving soil. He transcended mere mapper probing a regional oddity. He'd uncovered something wholly distinct, a vibrant apparatus, a primordial device with 7 alluring, fearsome females as its components. The meeting with Ilara at the fountain transformed all for Elias. The riddle of the siblings' timelessness exceeded a mere bodily conundrum. It connected to the terrain, to that shadowy liquid, and the enigmatic mark. He sensed pressing haste, as if the siblings' endurance of his proximity waned. He embraced bolder hazards. Nocturnally, he'd creep to their land's fringe, concealed in undergrowth, monitoring the dwelling. What he beheld defied logic. No illumination graced the home, no tapers, no lanterns, yet occasionally a gentle inner radiance throbbed from the panes, a faint argent glow that appeared to respire. He witnessed the siblings enact odd ceremonial deeds in their plot under lunar light, tracing deliberate forms in the ether. It wasn't agriculture, it was fellowship. He grasped Havenwood as a complicit partner. Their affluence bought their reticence. He began spotting covert exchanges. A rancher with an ailing steer left premium fruits at a designated trunk on the Beaumont border. Next dawn, the beast recovered wondrously. A female with arduous gestation deposited a tiny sculpted avian. Her delivery proved swift and easy. The siblings weren't mere hermits. They formed the nucleus of a concealed trade, swapping their sway for offerings. This was an archaic, ingrained authority structure. Havenwood's folk weren't solely terrified of the siblings. They relied on them, bound by an ancestral accord. Any disruptor of that fragile equilibrium faced intolerance, from the siblings and the hamlet alike. Elias felt this directly when revisiting the smith, referencing the mark. The man's features stiffened. He sealed his forge's portal quietly, confronting Elias with blazing eyes. "Depart," he intoned lowly. "You deem yourself clever, bearing revelation, but you deliver upheaval, disorder. They safeguard this gorge. They preserve us intact. The cost is no inquiries and no outsiders probing." He grasped a finely made blade from his bench. "This is your sole caution, mapper. Your charts are complete. Return home, for the next seeker won't locate you." The smith's menace marked intensification. Elias shifted from watcher to intruder, and the mechanism activated against him. Prudence dictated flight. Every survival urge urged packing and fleeing the ravine till it faded as a nightmare, yet he couldn't. He was entrenched, snared in the enigma's orbit. He craved verity regardless of cost. He grew suspicious, verifying his hut's latch twice, resting with a primed firearm nearby. He sensed the hamlet's scrutiny perpetually. Courteous greetings vanished, supplanted by stern, icy glares. Youngsters silenced and fled indoors at his approach. He was ostracized, a pollutant. His sole prospect was exploiting a flaw in the mechanism, a fissure in the hush barrier. He discovered it in Agnes, the hamlet's birth attendant, residing on the fringes, avoided for her herbal cures and biting wit. Agnes was venerable, her visage laced with creases, her sight dimmed by opacities, yet keen with rebellious wit. She functioned beyond the siblings' dominion. Elias approached her at twilight, bearing scarce healing plants. She observed his nearness to her modest, disordered hut, face inscrutable. "They'll detect you," she croaked as he mounted her stoop. "They perceive all." "I must comprehend," Elias urged softly. "You've dwelled here eternally. You've observed births and deaths, yet they've remained unaltered." Agnes pondered his countenance lengthy, then resolved. She beckoned him indoors. Her abode reeked of parched botanicals and ember haze. "Comprehension poisons this gorge, Mr. Thorne," she whispered lowly. "They aren't as they appear, not females, not human like us." She recounted the accord predated memory. Initial pioneers verging on famine and plague encountered the siblings by the ominous fountain. The siblings proffered a deal: wealth, vitality, shield from worldly cruelty. In trade, the hamlet yielded something. "What?" Elias urged. "What do they claim?" Agnes's expression shadowed. They claim not objects mapper. They claim potentials, options, untrodden paths. She narrated of her sibling, a talented painter set to depart Havenwood for studies afar. Days prior, she tumbled, fracturing her limb, a minor mishap, yet it mended poorly. Her aspiration perished, she lingered, wed a tiller, led a mundane existence. The gorge sustains, Agnes murmured, eyes alight with timeless fury, but it trims, it anchors us, it halts escape, excessive brilliance, disruption. The siblings tend the orchard, and we are the growths. Agnes's disclosure shifted Elias's perspective chillingly. He'd sought a youth elixir, a corporeal quirk or anomaly, but the attendant described subtler predation, a mental and ethereal draining. The siblings not only stalled their decay, they nourished on pilfered prospects, deriving vigor from the hamlet's shared inertia. The gorge's aberrant affluence wasn't grace, but confinement, an ornate, cozy jail, yet imprisonment. Mishaps befalling aspirants to depart or ascend weren't chance. They were calibrations, the mechanism self-correcting. This clarified the subtle despair in folks' gazes, a vacant resignation. They'd bartered liberty for surety, visions for steady, serene being. Elias experienced deep revulsion. This was devotion not to figures but locale, with the siblings as mute, perpetual overseers. Agnes imparted another fragment, rumor of a chamber in their abode windowless. The weaving space, where they craft not fibers but fates. The vision was legendary, alarming. 7 females, akin to mythic spinners, threading villagers' existences. Before parting, Agnes thrust a compact bundle of acrid shadow herb into his grasp. Carry this constantly, she cautioned. It won't halt them if desired, but may obscure their sight. Grant a instant unseen, employ it shrewdly. With this dreadful insight and herb sachet, Elias knew his course. External probing sufficed no more. He must infiltrate the dwelling, locate the weaving space. He spent the ensuing day scheming fervently, mind ablaze. Direct entry impossible. He needed pretext for deeper access. Recalling Seraphina, my kin and I cherish nature's anomalies, he'd examined flora. What if he unearthed something extraordinarily unique to offer them? Tremendous peril. They might discern his ruse instantly. Yet it was the sole route to the core. That eve, gripping Agnes's pouch, he re-entered the eerie woods by the shadowy fountain, seeking an ideal falsehood. The blast's wake was bizarre ruin. The shadowy fountain vanished, supplanted by a profound, vaporous abyss whence unearthly azure glow throbbed, encircling venerable trees charred to pale residue. Dr. Finch's gear twisted into fused debris. He and his aide were hurled aside, injured yet surviving. Elara reclined nearby, aware but diminished, the ethereal recoil exacting toll. But the remaining 6 siblings, transformed as crude force, leaked from the injured soil. The sustenance enduring them centuries severed, time drained eternally, surged in horrific, hastened torrent. Before Finch's appalled sight, the 6 females decayed. Years, then ages, swept them swiftly. Flawless flesh creased, shriveled, tightened on frames. Lustrous tresses silvered, then disintegrated. Forms hunched, curved, crumpled. Garments tattered around bones that powdered instants later. In under a minute, Seraphina and devotees reduced to 6 gray heaps on seared ground. Elara differed. She aged too, time's marks etching her visage, pale locks fading luster. Yet slower, milder. Maybe her pact betrayal or Finch's nearness shielded her worst. She rose seated, appearing near century, old, fragile, yet eyes liberated at last. Finch rushed beside her. What did I unleash? He breathed, prior assurance fractured by witnessed atrocity. Elara extended quivering, furrowed palm brushing his face, her grin brittle yet sincere. You shattered the enclosure. She wheezed thinly. Gratitude. Her lids drooped. Final exhalation, soft, satisfied sigh, form stilled. She didn't powder. She merely perished naturally, the denied boon for ages. In ensuing quiet, a fresh tone arose from the hamlet, tolling bell, resonant through the gorge. Alarm, bewilderment. Havenwood's folk roused from prolonged shared trance, their mental cell fractured. The Accord's rupture rippled through Havenwood's shared psyche. For ages, inhabitants endured subtle ethereal strain, perpetual undercurrent directing thoughts, quelling drives. Now absent, mental void stunned, alarmed, thrilled. Folks staggered outdoors, viewing neighbors' heavens, limbs as if novel. Reality keener, vivid, yet perilous. The siblings' soothing dominion stripped, leaving them bare. Initial fallout, turmoil, buried feelings erupted, smothered rivalries reignited, slumbering goals awakened. A tiller eyed his plot, pondering horizons. A maiden regarded her betrothed, sensing void. Her assent packed in, deuced, not hers. The hamlet's aberrant wealth waned instantly, wrought afflicted grains. A valued beast sickened, perished sans siblings' aid. Arduous birth ended sorrowfully. Reality's cruel randomness returned, folk unready. They'd overlooked enduring adversity, managing grief. They'd swapped toughness for ease. Reckoning arrived. Dr. Finch, limping to Hamlet with shaken aid, became dread and fury's target. Seen not as emancipator, but paradise's destroyer, deity, slayer. The smith, now aged yet fiery-eyed, spearheaded a throng cornering Finch centrally, labeled killer, fiend, covenant, breaker dooming them to external woes. He attempted justification, proclaiming liberty, but words submerged in sorrow and panic. Old Agnes rescued him. Venerable now, she materialized at crowd's margin, staff supported, opaque eyes perceiving clearest. Idiots, she cawed robustly. You mourn cage bars. This individual didn't curse you. He restored your essences. Now relearn their use. Her utterance from societal fringe dweller muted the assembly. Calamity evaded, yet gorge transformed eternally. It re-entered history's flow to thrive or falter solo. In subsequent years, Havenwood turned mythic, spectral realm. The seven siblings and shattered accord became murmured legend, shadowy lore for scaring youths. True horrors diluted, legendized, forgotten save by few. The gorge endured trials shielded from for century plus. Many departed, unable to face uncertainty, liberty's demands. They dispersed nationwide, bearing odd, unvoiced sorrow. Severed ethereal links ghost appendage. The Beaumont dwelling decayed. Sans siblings upkeep, it rotted swiftly, imploding within decade. Enclosing woods wildened, and fountain's abyss became superstitious sight. Accursed terrain shunned, quiet eaves, odd buzz audible, soil sterile from seven specters lament, tales claimed. Dr. Alastair Finch's existence altered irreversibly. He returned academically, profession ruined. His formal account, muddled inconsistencies, sanitized anomaly description laced with frantic scrawls on impossibilities and dusting females. Deemed deranged, expedition stressed. Tenure lost, he withdrew dishonored, fixating on coherent chronicle no editor accepted. His incapacity to rationalize Havenwood scientifically became personal confinement. He'd beheld marvel, terror, myth, world, view demolished. Truth possessed, yet no vernacular to convey, and the terrain, Finch's detected energy dispersed in blast. Aberrant plants vanished, supplanted by ordinary variants. Gorge normalized, its enchantment, lovely, awfully evaporated. Sole remnant, warped, tinted pistol Elias Thorne's discharged weapon, unearthed by tiller years hence. Ignorant of origins, he retained it as oddity, relic from obscured era. But tales like this conclude. Accord fractured, siblings vanished, gorge mundane, yet the force, archaic soil awareness, obliterated or injured, such primordial might doesn't perish. It slumbers, awaits men's. Fountain's abyss eventually rainwater, filled, forming fresh basin. Water clear, not opaque. Life bordered it. Common blooms flourished, beasts drank, dread aura absent, yet wanderers sometimes sensed evaluation, vast dormant intellect subsurface, regarding with impassive timeless calm. Disturbing legends endured, post-accord valley births, most typical, but occasionally a infant with eerie calm, ancient insight in newborn gaze. Seldom wept, grasped impossibilities, drawn to old Beaumont ruins. These youths often lovely, vitally unnatural, ever observing, anticipating, coincidences, inherited traits from secluded lineage, or force, craving terrain, rekindling bond, seeking fresh vessels, new overseers for its seal. Perhaps initial accord wasn't singular, maybe cyclic, mutual tie earth fosters when apt, secluded group, needy folk, profound energy well. Havenwood's account may not be singular oddity, perhaps template, alert to desperation meeting forces beyond narrow science. Entities granting desires for belatedly grasped costs. This leads to contemporary, alarming facet. In 1978, firm posing as Lumber Enterprise acquired vast former Havenwood tracts, including Old Beaumont site. They barricaded stationed sentries, warned of pollution, instability, locals informed, routine restoration, but inquisitive reporter, drawn by Gorge's grim tales, investigated, found lumber outfit subsidiary of enigmatic biogenetic, arcane energy conglomerate. Directors, obscure global magnates obsessed with lifespan, edge sciences. Reporter obtained leaked memo, Gorge survey noting dormant yet regenerating unique energy. Cited historical biooddities, deemed top paranatural harvest chance. Verbiage clinical, businesslike, bone-chilling, they'd identified it, detected entity's residual force unafraid, saw not deity to placate, but asset to mine, harness, market. Reporter Richard Stern printed in indie paper. Week later, vehicular fatality. Solo crash, clear eve, report, exhaustion, files vanished. Mechanism evolved, attorneys fronts, suits erasing issues corporately. Old Havenwood accord desperation. Born, yielded to greed, fueled new one. New accord's essence, old, closed loop. Siblings absorbed Gorge potential, recirculated for bubble wealth. Horrific, steady circuit. New, open, firm uninterested in local boom, seeks extraction, bore into antique force, extract, transport to Swiss labs or elite spas. Market eternity, envision ramifications, immortality commodified, elite luxury, humanity bifurcated, dying, timeless, wealth gaps pale beside bio, abyss, all disparities dwarfed by live/die divide, not fantasy. Observe life, prolonging quests, vast funds in age, reversal by tech tycoons, rhetoric, advance, vanquish illness, aid all, but equitable, new breakthroughs equalize or empower entrenched. Havenwood warns, power costs. Siblings nourished entity with pilfered existences, shattered visions. What feeds firms global undying elite? Whence energy for balance, debt settles. You're not viewing bygone tale. It's alert to Naucon, structured future in covert facilities, secluded holdings. Return humanly, consider Ilera, story's core, eternal systems component, yet after eons conscience, like emerged, betrayed kin, nature for liberty ideal, whence impulse, in static guardian, how arose alteration, revolt. Perhaps thorns resistance, humanness seeded half, century sprouting, or innate. No regime, flawless or mighty, fully quenches empathy's ember, hope, betterment urge. Ilera, every ideal jail's defect, system's specter, divine rethink possibility. Her woe, uprising cost her life, kins, shattered enclosure via world demolition, poses unease, freedom merit chaos, Havenwood had surety, wellness, harmony, secure, traded volition, promise, Ilera, Finch fractured accord, restored liberty, and agony, famine, ailment, bereavement. What select managed comfy predictability or utter liberty with perils, cruelties, flop potential? No simple reply. We tout liberty supreme, yet daily seek ease, safety, routine. Choices often risk-averse, pain, dodging. Havenwood, grim reflection, probes personal accords, daily liberty trades for security sense, micro of human clash, safety crave vs. freedom yearn, tales material proof scant by intent, Beaumont structure gone. Siblings ash, Finch's logs discredited, interred, thorns log unfound, secrets preserved via erasure, rendering fanciful, dismissible as myth. Yet vestiges linger for seekers. Odd gorge readings baffle experts. Lineages from Haven would show improbable health stats, shared lore of timeless lovely 7, most concrete, concealed, 1970s land. Buyer built vast underground on Old Beaumont, stated seed storage, benign. But leaked satellite heat shows huge unexplained energy deep, where Finch noted pulse, power, hungry as metropolis, off-grid, autonomous, hiring elite scientists plus specific, young females septets, global orphans unlinked. Lifetime deals, lavish pay, stipulation, cut past ties, enter, vanish, firm not merely tapping power, reconstructing apparatus, forging new seal mechanisms, replicating Beaumont siblings, experiment persists. Think refined, emotionless, stable, manageable conduits, myth to tech, success ends known world, this exceeds 19th century Tennessee septet, veils thinness between reality, elder realms with alien rules. We erect society's knowledge, views on fragile base, deeming mastery, beneath ancient stows, timing in eras, not lives, haven, wood, rare rift, humanity touching deep force, siblings didn't uncover secret, fused with unfit power. Cost, humanity, became exquisite, ideal, perpetual effigies in lifeless garden, parable, shortcut perils, haven, wood sought lie fees escape, entity granted, price, living's core, alteration, strife, evolution, forfeit. Paradise, barren static illusion, meaningless counterfeit. Modern heirs, firm with tools labs, repeat globally, aim death, conquer, erase human uncertainty. Think tech controls, minds deity sans repercussion. Fools echo pioneers, advanced gear, bargain, deem controllers, but source prevails, grants desire, claims unknown till absent, perhaps dreams, compassion, will spark, balance holds, debt pays, new timeless elite may trap in flawless soul void jail. Eternal existence in soulless realm, thus we're left haunted resonance, muted history shadowing now, 7 timeless siblings riddle, bargains for safety might, change agents thorn, finch sought truth, bounds push. Siblings, stasis, sacrificing for unchanging order, change triumphed violently, scarring land, folk, progress harsh, dismantling regimes painful, haven, wood legacy duel, Illyra's bravery, oppression's freedom will endures, wins. But firm, reminder, seekers reclaim dark force, rebuild jail, auction keys. We inhabit their world. Havenwood denizens subtly, systems promising ease for info, focus, independence, constant minor accords. Query what humanity harvested slowly, Thorns Hill buzz gone, but heed quiet eve, server drone, market tick, net hum promising link, yielding solitude, machine altered, principle same, equilibrium endures. Case beyond valley clan, glimpse humanity's embrace of darkness to flee self, death, conquer suffering, end order, create noblest, riskiest drive, 7 Havenwood siblings, monument to untempered impulse failure. Perfected lost essentials, tale warns, death's antithesis isn't life, for them, eternal static non-life, but all disclosed or true tale shadows Tennessee gorge, entity sleep or subtly channel, firm's work fate. Success, new timeless elite who, our collective cost, share ideas, follow for truths unearthed. Havenwood mysteries final chill, darkest history not past, buried, future's plans,